kid who swings a golf club like a dream. I'd like to try to qualify him for the U.S. Amateurs.
Coming to Apple TV Plus.
What's your name?
I'm not into older guys, but I'm flattered.
A new comedy series, Stick.
I don't want to go on this trip.
Your mouth's saying one thing, but those eyes are saying something else.
From the home of Ted Lasso.
This is your shot at redemption? This is your mulligan?
Owen Wilson.
This game takes and it takes. The game's finally giving me something back.
Stick.
You know Arnold Palmer?
Iced tea, lemonade, mix it.
I'm missing a nap for this.
Streaming June 4th on Apple TV Plus.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
So, you just started using LinkedIn Premium. Now what? Well, on your premium company page, you noticed around 7.5 times more page engagement and 5 times more page views. Well done. And now, new clients are messaging you. All because you're using LinkedIn Premium, which helps you get the business growth you want. Think big, small business. Think big. Start your free trial at linkedin.com/premium small business. That's linkedin.com/premium small business.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network, and you can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/@RamsUpPodcast. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined often by my football guru, Ian, along with a bunch of other friends of the show on occasion. Let's get to it. Hey, welcome back, Ram fans. Mark from Rams Up here. I got a filler episode of sorts for you this time around. I am going to predict the divisional winners, the standings in each division. I'm going to give you the playoff seedings, and I'm going to tell you who wins each playoff game and who wins the Super Bowl just for kicks. I know it's a little bit early for that, but I think we're starting to get a feel for who the risers and fallers are. So why not? And, I reserve the right to amend this at any point in the future. So that's what we're going to do this episode. One item, news item of note, the 49ers have traded for Bryce Huff. He comes over from the Eagles for a draft pick. And the 49ers, they're expecting to have 3 compensatory picks next year. So this is an easy move for them to make. Huff, 4 years with the Jets. He played for Robert Saleh there, so the new DC in San Francisco. It's the second time around there. Very familiar with Huff. Huff had signed a 3-year contract with the Eagles. Eagles got 2.5 sacks out of him, decided it was time to move on, and it makes sense for the 49ers. They get a guy that can hopefully get after the quarterback, makes up for the loss of Leonard Floyd is the way I look at it. But, and they do have those comp picks, so it's not a big deal to give up a draft pick here. And for the Eagles, they get some salary cap relief. So we'll see how it works out. A little bit of a risk for the 49ers. Huff has been somewhat disappointing, so they'll have to hope that changes for this really to be a win for them in the trade department. So before we get to my predictions, I wanted to talk about a player who wore number 50 for the St. Louis Rams. And why? Because it's episode 750 on the podcast. So who did I want to talk about? How about number 50, offensive tackle Ryan Tucker, primarily a right tackle. And he played for the Rams. Actually, the Rams drafted him in 1997 out of TCU. And do not get him confused with Ross Tucker, who has developed a pretty prolific podcast and did a player analysis career. He does really good stuff. I see him as a guest on several radio shows, and he does a lot on social media. That's a different Tucker. This is Ryan Tucker, whose brother Rex also played in the NFL. So, yeah, it gets a little confusing. This is Ryan Tucker out of TCU, 1997 draft pick of the St. Louis Rams. He actually earned 2 Super Bowl rings with the Rams, and he earned the starting job there. After getting drafted, he earned the starting job after the first Super Bowl, but over a 2-year period had 31 starts for the Rams before moving on to the Browns. And he also had a touchdown reception, a Kurt Warner to Ryan Tucker pass against the Detroit Lions in that Super Bowl year in 1999. I don't remember this. Put the Rams up in the fourth quarter, but the Lions were able to pull it off. So he had a touchdown reception from Kurt Warner during the greatest show on turf year, the year they won the Super Bowl. Pretty cool for him. And that loss to the Lions, by the way, set the stage for a 7-game winning streak for our Rams. They had lost 2 in a row to the Titans. And then the Lions, they go on a 7-game winning streak and eventually win the Super Bowl. Ryan Tucker, our number 50 for the then St. Louis Rams. So let's get to my predictions here. How do I see the AFC East unfolding? I think it's pretty clear the Buffalo Bills are the class of the division. I think the Patriots are taking a step up. I think Drake May is going to evolve into, is it too early to call him a franchise quarterback, an elite quarterback? Certainly a tier 2 or 3 quarterback by the end of 2025, I think. And, they got a new coach there. That may help their cause as well. The Dolphins taking a step back. I don't know what happened there, man. They seemed like they were going to be, a relevant team in the AFC fighting for titles for several years, and it's kind of all fallen apart slowly. I think it started with that 0-degree playoff game in Kansas City. They couldn't get it done. Dolphins going to drop to third place in one of the weakest divisions in the NFL. And then the Jets, you feel bad for the Dolphins. Well, how do you feel about the Jets and what's happened to them? Man, it sucks to be a Jets fan is what I'm hearing. And I don't think it's going to be a good year for them. I think this is pretty much how a lot of people are picking this division. There may be some that think the Dolphins will be able to hold off the Patriots for second place. But I feel pretty confident that this is going to be the Bills, the Patriots, Dolphins, and Jets in that order. Now we go to the AFC North, and, I'm one of those guys that, I always overvalue the Bengals. I always expect a little bit more than we end up getting from them. I think it's going to be a race between them and the Ravens, though. But I think the Ravens hold them off once again. The Bengals have so much invested in those 3 guys on offense. It's going to cost them elsewhere. They're still having the contract battles with some of their players as we speak, but they're still going to be very good. So it's Ravens 1, Bengals 2. And I think the Steelers, with their quarterback situation, even if they bring on Aaron Rodgers, not thrilled with the direction this team is going. I don't know, man. It's going to be a drama fest there, and if anyone can keep that under wraps, it's Mike Tomlin. But I don't know, not a good time to be a Steelers fan. But they always end up, being in the thick of things one way or another. But I think they are the third place team, and the Browns. If you can if you can run an offense with 5 quarterbacks, they'd probably be the Super Bowl favorites. But they're I don't know what to tell you about the Browns. It was just a couple of years ago. They were on the brink with a great defense, but it's just fallen apart on the offensive side of the ball, and it remains to be an issue. I don't think the Browns are going anywhere this year, unfortunately. Now we got the AFC South, and the way I feel about the South is it's the Texans division. I think they had a little bit of a bump in the road last year. They got to the playoffs. I get it. Got knocked out in the divisional round, but I think I expect more out of them this year. CJ Stroud, had maybe a tiny bit of a sophomore jinx, and he's going to bounce back in a big way and I would expect them to win this division. The Colts, they're just always kind of solid, that 9-7, 10-7, 9-8, 8-9. They're going to be in that range, and they'll be good enough for second place. I think Liam Cohen and the other additions, staff and front office wise with the Jags, is going to help them. Travis Hunter, I can't wait to see what he does this year. I'm going to have to think about taking him pretty early in a fantasy football draft. But I still think they're a third place team, improved but third place. And the Titans, another team that always seems to get it done on defense. It seems like they're always a real physical team, aren't they? And Cam Ward, he'll be a rookie. It's going to take a little bit of time. They're going to have their moments, but they could jump the Jags and the Colts potentially for second place. But right now, I have them in fourth. So I got the Texans, Colts, Jags, and Titans. Now, the one division I have seen the most variety as far as who's getting picked and who isn't here. Everybody's kind of chilling on the Chiefs. It's just, I don't know, a little bit of wear and tear on the love for the Chiefs, especially prior to the season. And I had some really sour feelings about them as that playoff game wound down. Is this the end of the Chiefs? If we're going to call it a dynasty, is it the end? Probably not. But they do have more issues than they've ever had, especially along the offensive line. And we saw that against the Eagles. So I'm picking the Chargers, and, throw darts at me. A Ram fan picking the Chargers to win the AFC West. I just think Harbaugh has them pointed in the right direction. They're turning into an NFC North type team in the AFC West, and they're gonna try to punch teams in the mouth, grind teams down on the ground with the run game, play really physical defense, control the ball, and I think it's going to work for them this year. Playoffs might be a different story. We'll get to that in a second. I'm still picking the Chiefs as a second place team, and the Broncos as a very good third place team. I also like what the Broncos are doing. Bo Nix is going to be, he's already surprised us, right? I think he's going to be a really good quarterback moving forward. They've added some defensive pieces, a couple of guys from the 49ers. It's a team that I would be excited about. Just might be in the wrong division. This might be the toughest division, one of the tougher divisions in the NFL this year. And then there's the Raiders. Pete Carroll is going to give this team a bump in swag and in some other ways, but I still think they have too many holes on this roster. So I got the Raiders in fourth place in the AFC West. So let's talk about the NFC East. It's the Commanders' year. Jaden Daniels is the deal, is the real deal. And, they're going to have a slightly easier schedule than the Eagles. Second place schedule might be good enough for one win difference. And that could be all it takes for them to edge the Eagles. And I expect the Eagles to take a little bit of a step back. Now, we have to remember, and someone was talking about this. Oh, gosh, who was it? I think it was Chris Sims, actually. Jalen Hurts gets a lot of love after the playoffs and after the Super Bowl. But, don't forget, he was mediocre at times during the regular season. He just steps it up in the playoffs, which is, hey, kudos to him. But that could really hurt their push for repeating as the NFC East champions. So I'm giving it to the Commanders. Eagles second. The Cowboys, they're in a tough spot. Two really good teams that they have to face. And I'm going to say it, they have the third best quarterback in the division. Dak Prescott can light it up. I get it. But who would you rather have, Prescott, Hurts, or Daniels at this point? And then the Giants, they have some work to do. But I'd feel good about having Jackson Dart in the house. Probably going to be Russell Wilson to start. And I don't have a lot of faith in the Giants' ability to climb out of the cellar in this division. Now the NFC North. I really like what the Packers did, mainly Matthew Golden. The Packers' problem last year was a lot of drop passes. Other than that, it's a solid roster from top to bottom. They got good players spread out all over the place, and they add Golden, who is he probably was my favorite player in the draft. So he's going to help big time. And the Lions losing their two coordinators, I think that's a really big deal. And they may be suffering Dan Campbell burnout at some point. And the Vikings, J.J. McCarthy could end up being the next coming, but we don't know yet. I have to see it. And the Lions and Packers, roster-wise, the Vikings are fine. But dealing with the Lions and Packers with a rookie quarterback, I'm assuming anyways, I have them in third place. And the Bears, I'm not in the Caleb Williams camp quite yet. I just can't get away from that statistic I saw about quarterbacks that get sacked a lot in college, get sacked a lot in the pros. There's an issue there, hanging onto the ball, not being able to go to your second receiver, trying to stick with the same guy who's trying to get open, hanging on to it, and getting sacked. And we saw that again last year. Now the Bears have been trying to improve that offensive line. They bring over Ben Johnson. Now, he'll probably have a big hand in the offense, obviously, but he is the head coach. And he'll certainly put an emphasis on developing Caleb Williams and getting this offense going, but I'm not sold yet. I'm not sold on Caleb Williams, and it's hard for me to say that because I thought coming out he was going to be one of the great quarterbacks of his generation, and I'm not really feeling it right now, unfortunately. So Packers, Lions, Vikings, and Bears in that order.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
At the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event, get deals so right, it almost feels wrong. Now's the best time to get that Hyundai you've always wanted. Plus, every new Hyundai comes with America's best warranty and 3 years or 36,000 miles of limited complimentary maintenance. Don't think you can get away with all that? Think again. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. It's a great day for a new Hyundai.
This episode is brought to you by PetSmart. Stop by for Yappy Hour with your pet at PetSmart. Save $5 on walk-in grooming services like nail trims, ear cleaning, brushing, and more. No appointment needed every weekday from 2 to 6 p.m. And while you're there, Yappy Hour includes exclusive in-store deals, like 25% off pet toys. Visit services.petsmart.com/grooming to learn more.
Now we go to the NFC South, and, everybody's going to start throwing love on the Falcons, or have we figured it out yet? We learned our lesson. The Bucs are going to win this division once again. I'd like to think this is finally the Falcons' year and Raheem Morris's year, but I don't know. I love Baker Mayfield, and this is another team that always plays pretty good football on both sides of the ball, week in and week out. And, they have trouble dealing with the powers, the elite teams in the NFL. But, throughout the regular season, they find ways to win just enough to win the previously weakest division in the NFL, and it probably still is. So the Bucs win it. I think the Falcons will be in second place again, unfortunately, be the bridesmaid again. And, I'd like to see that change. I'd love to see the Falcons win this division. I don't know why. I just would. Maybe because of Raheem Morris, but just don't have a lot of faith in them being able to win enough games to unseat the Bucs. It's as simple as that. Bucks are slightly better, and it may come down to the quarterback position. Michael Penix could change my mind on that. We see a bunch of him, and hey, maybe the Falcons end up winning 11, 12 games with Michael Penix at the quarterback position. But I'm just going by what I know now. Baker Mayfield, Michael Penix, got to give the edge to Baker, who should have been a Pro Bowler last year. Crazy that he wasn't selected. And in third place, I like what the Panthers are doing. But you know what? They kind of remind me of the mid-2000 Rams, where we were just signing guys almost in panic mode, finding guys, street free agents, unrestricted free agents, come in and help this team solidify this roster. I don't know if they've added any difference makers, though. Bryce Young slowly developing, and they're going to be more competitive than last year, as competitive as they were at the end of last year, I think. If they make another step in their evolution and turn into a really competitive, good, or fair to middling football team, I'm not counting on it quite yet. And then there's the Saints. Poor Kellen Moore. I think he's in a really good spot to turn this franchise around, but it's going to take a couple of years. They got a lot of issues there. Derek Carr retiring. Tyler Shugg is going to be the quarterback apparently. Alvin Kamara, guy's been around forever. So they're going to be one of the worst teams in the National Football League, unfortunately. But I would be very happy if I was a Saints fan that they hired Kellen Moore. I think the Saints will find their way back. Just going to take a couple of years. Now we get to the NFC West, and yeah, I'm picking the Rams to edge the 49ers. I think this team is just locked and loaded to have a great year. You need the three things. You need a great coach, you need a great quarterback, and you need to stay healthy. And we don't know how that's going to turn out. As someone pointed out on the YouTube channel, it's all dependent on health. And that's true of every team, every Super Bowl hopeful team. And all things being equal, all other things being equal, I'm sticking with the Rams. They are able to overcome this edge the 49ers have as far as the schedule goes. And I'm picking the 49ers because of that schedule. They're still a pretty darn good roster, a great offensive mind, a decent quarterback, some weapons there, some really good players on defense, and the easiest schedule in the league. Yes, the 49ers are my second place team. And the Cardinals will be in first or second place week 7 or 8, and then they'll fall apart. And the Seahawks, I really feel bad putting the Seahawks fourth, but this could go a lot of different ways. There's been a big turnover there. Is it too much of a turnover? It's going to take them another year to get rolling with this rebuilt roster. We'll have to see. I really don't know. And I was originally, if you had asked me a couple of weeks ago, I might have had them as a second place in this division. But the more I think about it, had to put them fourth. And I think this is going to be a strong division. None of these teams are going to be a pushover, and don't take this as me dissing the Seahawks. I have a lot of respect for them. They could be, 7-10 in fourth place. They steal a couple wins, they could make the playoffs. They could be a very good team. They're one of the teams that's kind of very difficult to figure out right now. And then, of course, it's difficult to predict where they're going to end up racking and stacking the NFC West here. So, as promised, I'm going to walk you through the playoffs. We'll start with the AFC, and let's talk about how I think the seeding is going to go. And I have here on the screen a consideration for, how this might go. And the one thing I highlighted here is, first of all, I have which division each division is playing, which divisions are playing. For example, the AFC East plays the NFC South and AFC North. I'm not going to recite all of this for you, but the one thing that stood out was the AFC South playing the NFC West and the AFC West, and that's a blip on the radar for me. That's a tough draw. So when I put these seedings together, I just took that into account. Tried to keep it simple. Any AFC South teams that make the playoffs are probably going to be seated slightly lower, and that's what I came up with. I gave the Bills as the top seed, followed by the Ravens, Chargers, and Texans. And so the Texans, the AFC South champions, come in with the worst first place record. And then I had the Chiefs, Bengals, and Patriots as a wild card teams. And we roll into the playoffs. And how did it go? The Patriots at the Ravens. Ravens took care of business. Patriots are an improved team, but not playoff seasoned, unless Drake May turns out to be one of those guys that just, rises to the occasion, but we'll have to wait and see. And I have the Bengals coming into SoFi and knocking off the Chargers because that's what the Chargers do. They make the playoffs. Hey, Harbaugh can fix a lot of things, but he can't fix clutch kicks, hitting the upright and bouncing right. And the Bengals, Joe Burrow and his weapons, find a way to end the Chargers season. And then I have the Texans getting the Chiefs at home. So the Chiefs finally have to travel. They don't have that frigid Missouri weather to help them out. And the Texans get their revenge and knock off the Chiefs and advance. And then we get into the divisional round. And I have the Texans taking care of the Ravens. Last year I picked the Rams-Texans in the Super Bowl. So maybe the Texans are another team I give a little bit too much love to. I like their coach, CJ Stroud. I think Jaden Daniels made us forget about CJ Stroud last year. He's still a very good quarterback. And the Bengals, as much as I love them, it's the Bills. It's the Bills' turn. The Bills take care of the Bengals, and then the Bills take care of the Texans in the AFC Championship game up there in probably 3 feet of snow and 12-degree weather. Texans not ready for that. And the Bills get to the Super Bowl for, I think, is it the 5th time, still looking for their first win? Something like that. I'm not even sure. Let's get into the NFC playoffs. How did the seeding go? Well, first, what is a consideration here as far as the seeding? And I wanted to highlight the fact that the NFC West plays 2 weaker divisions, the AFC South and the NFC South. We've talked about this. This is a really big advantage when it comes to playoff seeding for the NFC West teams that make the playoffs. And I had 2 that made it. I have the Rams as the number 1 seed. I think they're going to get to 12-5, maybe even 13-4. Hey, could be completely wrong here, but that's what I'm rolling with. I have the Packers as the number 2 seed, followed by the Buccaneers and the Commanders. That's a different looking top of the bracket than it has been in years past, isn't it? And then my wild card teams, the 49ers, Lions, and Eagles. And the Eagles, the 7 spot, and that's a little bit of the Super Bowl hangover there, but they're in the dance. Can they make it happen? Let's see. The wild card round, I kind of went chalk. 3 home teams take care of business. The Eagles and Packers, they seem like they've been butting heads a lot the last few years, and this is, a little bit of a grudge match. The Packers are the team that put in the rule change request to get rid of the push-tush. And so the Eagles bring the push-tush to Lambeau, but the Packers win. The Lions, it's the end of the road for their window is closing. I don't know where they go from here. Dan Campbell still hasn't gotten to a Super Bowl, and he's gonna still be biting at other teams' knees on the way down. But they lose to the Bucs in Tampa Bay. And the Commanders, Jaden Daniels is we're watching him turn into a quarterback of the ages, and they take care of the 49ers easily in Washington. Brock Purdy cannot keep pace with Jaden Daniels. Then we get to the divisional round, and I went chalk here again. Home teams winning. The Rams take care of the Commanders at SoFi in an electric game, probably a high-scoring game. And the Packers take care of the Bucs. Again, these Bills and Packers games at home, I'm sorry. Some of you old school guys are going to hate me for this, but, these playoff games, let's play them indoors so we can watch some really good football. And these teams in the Great North that win only because they're playing in really cold weather and horrible conditions. That's not what the rest of us fans want to see. We want to see the best team on a nice day. That's how I feel about it. And you can disagree with me, but Packers advance. They're at home at Lambeau. They get the win against a team from Florida, and that sends the Packers and the Rams to SoFi. And, this is a game, I know Ian is going to be sweating bullets if this game's on the docket. The Packers, we've had issues with them. They're a team that's going to have no issues playing at SoFi. There's going to be quite a few Packer fans there. I would hope this would be a game where Rams season ticket holders hang on to their tickets, but we'll see. I think there's a lot of season ticket holders that are not Rams fans, and they're just selling them to opposing teams every week. I think that's what's going on. Not much we can do about it. But Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford have had enough of this. They want to go back to the Super Bowl, and they do. They get the win. And that brings us to the Super Bowl 60, February 8th, 2026. Rams versus Bills, and this is a rematch of that game last year. The Rams won 44-42. One of the more incredible regular season games I've ever seen. It was crazy, kind of very close to that Rams-Chiefs game and that Rams-Vikings game back in the day. And it's also a rematch of that season opener after the Rams' last Super Bowl win. That game went sideways for us real fast. Kind of gave us a glimpse about how that whole year was going to go. But I think this Super Bowl is going to be much more like last year's regular season game. Rams won that 44-42. Josh Allen, I don't care how good a defense you're playing, Josh Allen's going to put some points up on you. He's going to find a way with his legs, with his arm. But the Rams defense, I think, is well equipped to, hold them in check a little bit, and the Rams offense will be able to put some points up on the board. I think it'd be a relatively high-scoring, super exciting Super Bowl. Are you going to ask me? You're really going to ask me who wins this game? Come on. The Rams get the win, and a win at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. How sweet will that be? Now, there won't be any 49er fans there, I don't think. If they are, they'll be disguising which team they represent, but those 49er fans sitting at home they're going to be nauseous watching the Rams walk off Levi's Stadium field with another Super Bowl victory. That's my prediction. Rams over the Bills in Super Bowl 60.
Summer's here, and you can now get almost anything you need for your sunny days delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get a chicken parmesan delivered. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. But a box fan? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.